I'm super excited to talk to you today, and to bring in this topic of like facilitator fuck ups and how we get it wrong and what we learn from it. And would love to start by just having you introduce like what kind of facilitator you consider yourself to be and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, well, how I started doing this was I still always wanted to express the same thing, which is wake up hearts, reduce the loneliness in the world, the basics. And I've mainly done it through music and film in my life. But then about 15 years ago, someone suggested, hey, would you run a group for a bunch of creatives? And I had such a good time. And I realized that the creative stuff I was teaching on day two and all the practicals of how to do a project and everything was great. But the part getting them into a present enough state to be worth creating with involved shadow work, parts work, dissolving all kinds of things in the way, blowing out the cobwebs, being really intimate. And actually, I realized that that preparation stage was much more interesting to me than teaching people about how to, do their creative project. So then I started doing transforming shadows and insanely gifted, which is like using your insanities as your gifts. And I wrote a book and, all that stuff. And now as well as that, I now train teachers because I just realized that, for me to have the reach I want to have, yes, I can be in a room of 50 people, but if I train 50 people, then that's 50 rooms of 50 people, suddenly exponentially. So in the mission to sort of wake up hearts, which is the only thing that's going to save us, let's be honest, the only thing that's going to stop us electing maniacs and stand for what we stand for in this and other countries is hearts not awake enough. There's no way on a planet with a tipping point of woken up hearts that the current things would go on,
Yeah. So you're teaching teachers. You've up-leveled your facilitation to include training teachers, which has been quite the initiation, I'm imagining, like it is for most of us.
Yeah, exactly. It's so great to be able to actually have deeper friendships. There is still, of course, the same student teacher thing you have to be careful of, but it's less. And these are people who already know all about that and have had their own experiences of having to be careful around students and having to, and so, yeah, I'm really enjoying that side of it. And what I really love about the teacher trainings is that some people are very strict about their facilitator training, and this is how you do it, and this is the content, and this is how I want my content taught, and da-da-da-da. I'm the exact opposite. Part of my facilitator training is I just give them as a gift all 15 years of all my games, all my workshops, all my processes, all my meditation, the whole thing. And the middle part of the course is disassembling it and making it into your games. So it's all about people finding who they are and their unique flavor rather than doing what I do. Although there are certain cornerstones. And it's lovely watching all these different people from different modalities, because the people that come to this thing are everything from full-on corporate negotiation dons all the way to the most twinkly, Reiki, third eye shining people and everything in between. And watching them all teach each other their modalities is absolutely genius.
Yeah, it is genius. And it's like, I was just speaking with someone about this. When we're teaching facilitation, it's like beyond the modality, there is a foundation of how you facilitate, which is not dependent on what is actually being facilitated.
No, it's all about the aliveness. You could be talking about arable farming in East Anglia, or you could be talking about, the microbiology of turtles in Gabon. If you're alive in it, we want to watch. And you could be speaking about my favorite subject in the world, but if you're not doing it with any aliveness, I'll switch it off after 30 seconds. We're there, and you could be talking about something I don't know anything about, but it's the aliveness we show up for. I mean, that's a big part of what we teach on the course. People are here for aliveness. They're not here for the actual information you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the actual facilitator training? What is it called? Or what is
It's called Bring It.
Bring It. Bring It facilitator training.
For facilitators, leaders, coaches, and clowns.
Coaches and clowns. Amazing.
Which is the same thing, really.
Yeah, really. And like, as you've made that shift to teaching teachers, what are some of the shifts you've had to make inside yourself to be able to hold that space?
I'm not sure. I can't think of any right now that spring to mind. I guess I put a lot more work in. Like the workshops I run, the Game Changer is the main thing I do, which is like a 4-month weekly thing. I know I know the games, I know it's all going to be fine. I know I just have to show up and be me, and it will all just unfold however it unfolds, and it's always great. I've never had in 15 years once that I just didn't have the best time. I know that just does it itself. Actually, with the teacher training, you have to do a bit more work. Actually have to structure it. And, there's something about these people. First of all, they're paying 5 times more. And that is a pressure that, when somebody's paid a number of thousands of pounds,
Yeah.
you've got to be extra sort of like, there's an end point. In a way, with the game changer and the other stuff, it doesn't really matter what the end point is. Everyone came, they had an experience. With the facilitator training, they've got to be great and crystallized and confident and ready. And by the end, there is an actual A to B thing, which is more yang, more specific, that we're looking for. So that requires me to do a bit more work, just solve problems. Like, if you've got 30 or so teachers, how do you schedule enough time to witness all of them enough in what they're doing to say they're good enough or not, you know what I mean? Or to help them and really get where their blind spots are or what they need to work on. If there's 30 of them, even 2 hours for each one is 60 hours before you've even outside of all the seminars. So to structure all that is an interesting journey.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot more moving pieces and a lot more consideration and a lot more to strategize.
Yeah, it's much more on purpose, a teacher training, whereas game changer is much more fluid and yin, and we just get moved by whatever happens. The games are our anchor, the inner critic game, the suffering victim game, the martyr game, whatever. But the actual flow of what happens and the combination of the people who are there and the different levels of depth they will feel comfortable to go to, that's all a great mystery, which is why, as an artist, I always like making my films and albums that way. I don't like having it all pre-written. I've never yet made a fiction movie, because you already know the ending before you start. That kind of takes away the fun. So it's the same with how I'm with the workshops. But the teacher training is I do want to know the ending a bit better. And so, yeah, it requires a bit more of my specific yang ordered stuff rather than my flowy yin, see what happens stuff.
Yeah, totally. I'm completely with you around the difference between facilitating a group and just being in more of the feminine flow of it finding its way, and then being an actual teacher, which is like I have to teach a skill or a pass on knowledge, and people need to be able to digest it and integrate it and then replicate it or some version of what that might look like.
Yeah, and I need to know that they're good at it by the end. At least on the Game Changer, they're at whatever level they went to. They went as deep into their inner critic as they went, and that was the data they got, and that was the right amount for them, trusting everybody that they won't overpush their edges. I mean, that's a huge part of what we do in all the workshops, is please go gently. That's like the absolute umbrella. So many people in our sector are so busy getting enlightened and so wanting to push and get to the next stage, and it's so ego and it's so nothing to do with self-development, and they start we deal with a lot of young parts of ourselves in these things, vulnerable places that have been shut down over the years, wounding, patterning. These young places, they do not do well being dragged non-consensually into the next ayahuasca trip, having whacked on the back of the chakra with a baseball bat. That's not, we need to go gently and slowly. Young parts, they thrive with patience, gentleness, playfulness, laughter, encouragement. So whenever we're doing anything, I always say, okay, we're going to pick a time when ... Please choose a 4, a 5, or a 6, not an 8, a 9, or a 10. I must say that 20 times in every retreat or workshop. Please choose a 4, a 5, or a 6, not an 8, a 9, or a 10. Because, this kind of agenda, like Ram Dass talks about it, busy getting enlightened. That busy getting enlightened thing is totally, for me, the antithesis, comes with a lot of things which are the antithesis of growth. And of, like I said, still locked into that thing at school of doing really well in school and getting to the top of the class and progressing further. And you see parents with their children going, he walked at only 1 year and 2 months. It's like, there's no benefit that a child walks quicker than other children, or that it said its first word quicker. In fact, there's a lot of, any pressure that you're putting on your kid, come on, walk a few more steps, is actually toxic. So people being in a hurry in general, I'm super suspicious of in all ways, unless they're late for a flight, the hurrying part.
Yeah. Actually, no, I had the same thing because I have a 4-year-old, and the osteopath actually said you want them to walk as late as possible because the bones aren't even developed yet. And if you start trying to walk, it can really mess with the bone structure for kids when their parents are also putting them in those swings and trying to get their legs walking. Like, all of it is actually super
Don't get me
not
started.
good. Yeah. And it's a great analogy for spiritual overachieving.
Yeah.
Of like
Slow.
you're trying to walk on legs with bones that haven't fully formed yet.
Yeah, exactly. With an agenda that says, quicker is better. It's a very patriarchal thing we do to ourselves. And slowness, the tortoise and the hare, going slower more regularly actually does create better neuron pathways in the brain than rushing and all getting high at a Sunday night of a workshop, but then by Thursday going back to the same old shit we were doing before. I'm much more into sort of tapping the thing like every week.
Yeah. Yeah. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, I really feel that's true. And that's why I love being very irreverent in what I do, because the kind of people that would get upset about that, I believe, are often getting upset for the wrong reasons. If you need to tell me, I've been meditating for 25 years. If you need to tell me the 25 years, you haven't been meditating. We're setting your clock back to zero.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really good. I love that.
And so many things like that, when you catch yourself, it's still a kind of shop window, then that's not it. The whole point is loving ourselves in our wonky, human, messy form, loving that fully, not trying to eradicate all the mess so that I can be super enlightened. It's so upsetting when you hear someone when you see them going through some big thing and they go, I'm so annoyed with myself. I worked so hard on this stuff. I really thought I was past this stuff. I was like, no, we're not doing this to be past anything. There is no past. There's just going around the same spiral, hopefully a little ascending spiral so that you're a bit richer in knowledge and wisdom each time. But yeah, the idea that you're past this stuff, that you're ticking off a list of all the things that are in the way of you being the Dalai Drama. No. And all my evolving I've done has been unwilling. I'm amazed at all these people that do growth on purpose. Like, really? You're going to do 10 days Vipassana? You wouldn't like to just come and get stoned and sit in a field? No, I'm kidding.
I think this is the interesting reason why talking about fuck-ups is so important, because it's unfortunately actually where that growth comes. It's like I keep having this like existential anger at the universe for being like, why can't I learn as much from the moments when I get it right as the moments when I get it wrong? Why do those moments when I get it wrong have to be so impactful and so supportive that I have to keep being willing to surrender to another one?
Yeah, it's so full on. I think that's because those moments, no matter how we have let go of all the letting go and let go of even more, there is still the sort of public getting it wrong. There's always a perfectionist in there somewhere. And the joke, the game to play is how much can you stick a red nose on that character? It's like they're never going to shut up. But can you just give it a different voice? Like, one of the biggest powerful things we've done on the games in my Insanely Gifted stuff is mucking around with voice settings. So it's one thing when your inner critic, I'm giving away one of the games here, but who cares? It's one thing when the inner critic is doing its usual insidious voice in your ear that's a little bit like your mother probably, and it's just sort of in there. But it's another thing when you get that script and then you play with it in the voice of a porn star in the middle of a scene. It's revolutionary. Or when you do it in the voice of a cheesy game show host, really over enthusiastic, you fucked up everything, nobody likes you. And when you do that, when you play with the voice settings, that really like removes a lot of its power, because it can't be insidious anymore. So our job is like not getting rid of these characters, but tying a bell to their ankle. That's the job. And lovingly relieve them of duty, because they all think they're helping. And you've got to say, yes, I understand that I gave you that job back in 1992 or whenever it was, and you think you have to scan the horizon forever to make sure I never feel that feeling again. But actually, I'm an adult now. I'm happy to feel my feelings. Let's give you another job instead. What would you rather do with all your skills? So that's the demon harvest we go through.
Brilliant. Amazing. And loads of fun.
Loads of fun if you don't mind people realizing you're a dickhead. If you do, if you do mind, it's going to be more problematic. But that's what's so great. It's the first precept of being a great facilitator. I always start the whole training with that. If you're not okay with people realizing that you're a fucking dickhead just as much as they are, you're not going to be good at this.
Wow. That's a different level.
Yeah. Well, it's about teaching horizontally. As Pema Chodron, who's one of my favorite teachers, always says, healing happens horizontally. It doesn't happen top down. It doesn't happen because I've got all the knowledge and the wisdom and I'm going to bestow it upon you, my disciples beneath me. No, it's horizontal. It's only because I fucked up in exactly the same way. It's only because I know exactly what that inner critic voice feels like that I can play with it with you. And really be empathic. So I always, when people are really going through heavy stuff, it's really good to bring in for them, not to bypass, but it's really great to bring in that, yes, this is painful. Yes, we're going to process it. Yes, that's all true and happening. And can we, in parallel, look at this as a training for you to become a great helper of someone else that's going through this later? So, people who are going through a really, really messy divorce, it's your training for ways you're going to help future people who who are going through difficult breakups. So it's both the difficult thing you're going through, but it's also your curriculum for becoming a better helper.
Yeah, exactly. Bingo.
We have these 5, I'm always trying to invent my own ancient Chinese lineage, of course. And so we have this practice called the unpretentiously named 5 golden keys of alchemy. We call it. And for whenever anything difficult is going on, you ask these 5 questions and it transforms whatever's happening. Shall I give it to your happy viewers in case it's useful?
Yeah, let's give it.
So whatever's going on, the first question, first you drop in, obviously, and get into a sort of present state. So then you ask the problem, or you just ask the pink fluffy dolphin in the sky, wherever you want to direct it. 1, how is what's happening a training? And if I had set what's happening up as a training simulation, what was I trying to show myself if this whole thing was actually a training? That's question 1. Question 2 is, how is this a reminder for me to self-care in a way that I may have forgotten to or neglected to? That's question 2. Question 3 is, how is this an invitation for me to show up more, say something I haven't said, be more visible, vulnerable, maybe show up in what's, not hide. Number 4 is, how does this hurt more because of my painful past? Which is always relevant. I'm bringing more to this than to what just happened, And number 5 is, through all of these, what are the gifts I can share with others? You ask those 5 and you're fucking rocking it.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on.
Yeah. That's the medicine.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, and it's a much less lonely way to do it because we're all on the same curriculum in different ways. Like we were talking before, the people who are busy getting enlightened and showing up for their 19th ayahuasca trip and iboga up the bum and everything. It's less collaborative. It's more me, less we. I know, of course, they have a lovely tribal experience together and everything, but it feels like it's more of an individuated thing, less of a, even though they do it in community. When I hear the reports back of what people are getting, it's very individual. And I really am looking for things which are really like more connected. I need to be shown, I need to forgive myself better in lots of ways. And that happens when you tell me, oh God, you think that's bad? I did that on fucking Tuesday. The moment we do that with each other, we're like, but when we're sort of so lonely doing it in our own way and reading our own practice, our own books, our own everything else, you can forget everybody else's fallibility. And again, that's one of the big seminars of Bring It, is foolishness and fallibility. It's like your greatest friend are these fuck ups.
Yeah. Let's talk about one. I would love to dive into a story.
Yours or mine?
Maybe Let's start with you.
Then you can choose what level you're going to confess.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. So manipulative.
I'm going to tune to your first fuck up, but let's have a story of one of the ones that you're in contact with.
There was someone once where I thought they were part of the team of running the thing, and they actually turned out to be a participant. And it said, I'm not like you. I don't have a massive sex positive thing running through my, I've never been into this kind of big poly neo tantric side of things. Again, I think that's just riddled with awfulness. Even though there's some great stuff in it, it's like fucking hell. It's like it's a magnet for dysfunction and toxicity. So I kind of haven't gone so much into teaching that kind of stuff, or that's more private. But this was an event where people were, which was just kind of sex positive people exploring things place. Anyway, this person who I thought was a
team member
said, I'm here also exploring my sexuality with multiple people, and part of my personal way of being humorous with people and making friends is saying edgy things, one minute being very deep about something and the next minute trivializing it in the most childish way, like going back and forth between being a grown-up and being a child, being serious about things, and then just saying, like if I'm teaching an intimacy workshop with couples, we go very, very deep. It's very tender and beautiful, of course, because it's couples. But then at lunchtime you say, okay, we're going to take a break for lunch now. Could the women please clear up all the mugs and give them a rinse before the second half? Deadpan. And then people don't know if you're kidding or not. And it really it keeps disrupting the kind of sleepy paradigm. So that's just always been what I like doing. So when this person says about their exploring sexual, I say, oh, you're on the pool. Any action? And this was in text.
It was in a text message?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were chatting on WhatsApp, like, and it turned out they were a participant, and it kicked off incredibly. Thank God I'd left the place.
No.
But it all kicked off in my absence and started turning into, someone, this person sort of claiming I was a predator, which I don't think that immature joke signifies being a predator. I think, I'm sure I can come up with more predator moments of my life than that. But just someone using that word about you, especially when you're a man, and it's in your absence, it can be like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
So what I did was I just left it for the course people to deal with, and apologized unreservedly to everybody.
Yeah.
But just remembered that my silly there's a great guy we interviewed in India for one of the movies, and he said, I like to talk to people as if I already know them. And I've always really loved that attitude. But I think I also may have some autistic thing that I need to look at. That was part of the takeaway of that experience, was like, am I a bit fucking autistic? This is not the first time this has happened. Am I just not reading signals right? Or am I actually fucking incredibly funny and it's everybody else's problem? I'm not sure which is true. I suspect it might be the first one.
So in like the lessons of this interaction, it's like, what did it teach me? I might be autistic.
I might be autistic, or I'm just too genius for everyone.
I'm just too genius.
I'm the Rain Man of edgy comedy. But yeah.
But really, what is the upgrade? Like, what would you do differently next time? How do you up level that?
Know who I'm talking to. Big one. And just I guess take longer before I make my stupid, edgy jokes that I'm sure everyone else is going to find funny. Don't be so sure everyone, just like have that extra check-in. Is this safe? What's that thing? Those three things. Is it safe? Is it kind? Is it necessary? But just be one more bit more conscious that things do ignite often quicker than I expect them to. And also that's what brought up that thing about power. Learn more about that in our job. Yeah. And that even if you're not someone who would ever abuse power or even really consider it that much, in any interaction you're having with participants, there is already a thing about that you are more in a position of power, and to put that front and center is quite a big strand which we're now bringing into the teacher training, which clearly wasn't there enough, to really, the power doesn't always mean power over. It doesn't always mean that you're trying to be, trying to get them into bed or anything like that. It's like just any interaction. They will very often go into fawning without realizing it and all kinds of things like that. And it was a really educational screw up, actually.
Yeah, I think it's being updated too right now, like every day. It's also we're in a transition with this piece, and there's a lot of knowledge out there, but we're in like a collective upgrade. So
Can I say something controversial that will probably make all your listeners hate me?
go for it.
I think there's also this millennial fragility is unbelievable. Like there's this hair trigger of level of fragility and lack of responsibility for one's own reactions and one's own kind of part in one's fragility that is taking it a bit far for me quite a lot of the time, I have to say. Even with my stupid humor that I need to keep a track of and not do power over, there's another side of it where some people are just fucking love getting triggered.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and that's the challenge, is that there's something there, and it's not about it not being valid. It's about more like the way it's being used and communicated, and the energy suck. And that's kind of my challenge with it, is the energy suck that isn't life-giving, or it's just, it's a little bit of a dead end.
Because I get sucked into that it's got a kind of tyranny to it.
Yeah.
You have to da-da-da-da because of my da-da-da-da, and it's not fully responsible. You end up, someone else's triggers becomes tyrannical over you.
Totally. I had that one time. I mean, a great example. I was getting ready to guide a practice, and we had just taken a bathroom break, and I was waiting for the people to come back from the bathroom. And while we were waiting for those people, I was kind of telling the people in the room what to do, like lay down, take a breath. We're going to start soon. I was like getting the group ready. The person who came back from the bathroom last came into the room and got super triggered because we started without them. And it was like, oh, we didn't start without you. We were just starting and waiting for you. No, but you started without me, and I have a huge trigger around this, and I demand that you never start another session until everyone is in the room.
Good word.
And it's
Good
like,
use of the word demand there. That's going to get the best out of me.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a really hard moment. Is like, actually, no, I imagine you're triggered, and I cannot guarantee you that everything will only start once everybody has entered the room. But it was one of those, the outside world must never make me face the things that activate me.
Yeah, exactly. Often when somebody needs more of your energy, or needs daddy energy in my case, when somebody wants that daddy energy, but they don't have the whatever yet, they don't know how to ask for it directly.
Yeah.
These things are often an indirect way to get attention.
Yeah. It's just bringing up for me one of those things, because I get obviously the mommy thing, you get the daddy thing, I get the mommy thing. And it's like I have to do a lot of work on that mommy thing and have the ability to, because it's sticky. It's like sometimes the way that people bring it in is so sticky that if I'm not really clear in myself and not in training that dynamic, I can fall right into it with them. And so it's like trying to have enough distance and space so that I can see it when it's coming and not lock in. Yeah.
So you were going to tell me, I think you might have skipped very skillfully into not giving me a really juicy example of a fuck up.
I was just waiting for the right moment.
I don't think starting the thing late comes under the category of true vulnerable sharing. I'm ready. And action.
Well, actually, so I have a good one that's on the same topic. It came up already, of power. I guide a practice called Belly to Belly, which is it's a relational breathing meditation. It goes very deep. It takes people into altered states, and it's super deep. And I was working, actually, at the time, this was a long time ago. This was at the very beginning for me. I was working at a Tantra training, and we were focusing on a different chakra each day. So I was doing a different belly to belly to focus on a different chakra each day. And we had got to the day of power. And so I did a belly to belly for everyone, focusing on power. And here's the fuck up, guided people back to a time when their power was taken away in this vulnerable state of belly to belly. And
it
was
wasn't
not
a 4 or 5 or a 6. Some people did an 8, a 9, or a 10.
Someone went 10
Oh,
on
fuck.
it. They went to the time when they're
When they were abused.
They went to a time when they got badly abused.
Right.
Yeah. And then what happened, which was so interesting, was that a person who abused them, they saw, because I was the facilitator, I became their abuser.
Oy, oy, oy.
And then they almost attacked me in the space, like literally got up and were threatening to punch me in the face and getting very close. And that was a wake-up call moment. The rest of the group field like crumbled, and everything crumbled. And I actually held myself quite well. I was really impressed. I spoke to the person and I said, I just really love, like, your tiger is here, and I feel your boundary, and I feel your no, and I just really want to celebrate, like, you're here. But there was a lot of cleanup to do.
Cool.
And on that, both with that person and me and the group. And I don't think I ever again guided a belly to belly where I tried to take, like, what I was trying to do was have someone do a piece of work in a way that wasn't really appropriate.
Yeah. Maybe on a group of 8, but no bigger.
Or even one-on-one, but like a huge, big group field, going there and not really having pieces in place, not guiding people to not go for the 10 thing,
Yeah, that's
having
so
them in a
important.
super vulnerable open state. It was like, that was a huge, and the double bind of it being a power piece and me being the person in power and me provoking that power and the overlay of the projection that got to sit on all of that. Like that was all some really big eye-opening
Huge
stuff for me.
Yeah. It's also funny how, I don't know why this just popped into my head, but it is just another quirky thing about being a facilitator is, we always look through other people's eyes at ourselves. If I think that I'm unworthy or crap in some way, I will look at you in the audience and think she's thinking I'm unworthy and crap. We always project onto someone else what we fear about ourselves. So many times the person who looks very seriously and looks like they're not getting it, I'm projecting to their eyes. They've discovered that I'm a total imposter chancer, of course. They're not buying any of my charming humor. They're not finding it funny. They're just like, a bit like you when you first came to Amsterdam, in fact. Although I hadn't noticed until you actually had to come and tell us you weren't enjoying it. But normally I notice the person who's sitting there thinking, what a cunt. But it's usually those people that come afterwards and go, they got the most out of it. That's what's so weird. It's the people I project most into aren't liking it, and the people that actually love it the most.
Yeah.
I've totally got all my projections wrong around. And that's why I think it's so important as a teacher to not even concern yourself with that. The moment you're thinking, how am I doing? Then you're going to leave the great river of wisdom and genius. The moment you're thinking, how are they doing? I hope you're in your generosity, you care how they're doing, then it flows fucking beautifully, articulately. You don't need to plan a word. The moment, do they believe me? How am I doing? Am I looking? Then it just freezes. And it's the same with music. It's the same with everything. The secret is harnessing your generosity and having your attention on them, not yourself.